There's different reasons why you might want to divide your daylilies. Maybe you just want to divide a big clump and move to different spaces, or maybe they've been there a long time and need to be divided. We're going to talk about all that in today's video. This is a planting of Stella d'Oro daylily, which is one of our best reblooming daylilies. That's a gold. There's one flower over there. This is early August when I'm shooting this video. So these bloom typically in our area in mid-May, mid to late May is when they start blooming. And it's, like I say, a good rebloomer, which means that it blooms and blooms again. But one thing about some daylilies, and this one in particular, is when it gets in a big clump, they won't rebloom as well. And these I planted probably 15 years ago, so they've been here a long time. And you get a great early season bloom, you know, in late May, early June, but you don't get as much rebloom. You get a little bit. There's one rebloom scape right there. But so my hope in reworking these is that maybe I can just refresh the whole planting and get some more rebloom on them. One other reason that you might want to divide, and that I will get today, is I'll dig these up, these big clumps, and I'll be able to divide them down into smaller plants. I'll have extras, so I can plant the extras, you know, in another location, so get another planting out of it. All right, as I get ready to dig these, I'm going to go ahead and just pull away some of this old foliage from the spring. You don't have to do this, but this is just going to let me see a little bit better where to dig. All right, and so I'm going to dig, you know, probably 3 or 4 inches away, something like that. And I may catch some of the roots on this clump, but that's okay. If you trim off some of the ends of the roots, that's no big deal. It's not going to be an issue at all. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see how this, how easily this one pops out here. So. All right, there we go. That wasn't too bad. All right, so kind of shake some of the dirt off. One thing I typically do. All right, so see, I got a lot of the dirt came off. You know, it's been a little bit dry here recently, so that dirt came off pretty good. But there, I've got my dug clump. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the foliage, and really I just do this to make it easier to work. You know, digging and dividing these, the daylilies are probably going to, you're going to lose most of this foliage anyway. You know, maybe if I dug it up and planted it right back today, a lot of this green would stay green. But for the most part, you might as well just go ahead and trim it back. It makes it easier to see what you're doing, and it'll grow new foliage anyway in just a few weeks after you plant it. So we just use old steak knives here at the nursery. You can use scissors, or you know, it's whatever you got. And so I'm going to trim the foliage about, what's that, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches tall, something like that. So I'm just going to cut it off like that. No trick to it. And this just makes this easier to handle. I can see what I'm working with here. One thing on trimming the tops is I could have done this before I dug it, and that would have been fine too. Sometimes I do that, and that makes the whole process easier, but whichever way. Okay, so when I'm getting ready to divide this, you kind of want to think about how small you might want to divide it down to. Now you could divide a daylily down as small as 1 fan. That's what they call 1 plant of a daylily. So I could divide it down that small. But if I do that, that 1 single fan is probably not going to bloom. It definitely won't bloom well the first year. Probably a couple years before it really grows big enough to give you some good bloom. So we suggest you divide it down to a little chunk. You know, kind of like what we send, the plants that we ship all have at least 3 fans. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to divide this down into little chunks of about, well, we'll see. This is a small plant, so they may have more than 3. They may have 5 or 6, we'll see. But some varieties you can just pull apart. We'll see if this one, actually it comes apart pretty easy. All right, so this is probably a good size. This is what I would want to plant back. And like I mentioned, this variety Stella d'Oro, it has smaller fans, all right? So this one may have, it's hard to count exactly, but you know, maybe 8 or 10 fans or more. But that's a nice little chunk right there. Plant this is going to bloom really well next summer. And that pulled apart pretty easy. If it doesn't pull apart, just take your knife or whatever you got, and you can just slip it down in there and just cut a little bit, or stick it in and pry, and it just comes apart like that. So some daylilies will be pretty easy like this one, and others will be harder, but so I'm just going to stick that down in there, just twist a little bit, it comes right apart. All right, So that's about a good size that I'm going to leave. I could divide that. I'm going to leave it. Yeah, that one. So let's see, what did we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 nice little chunks out of that one. We've got our divided plant, and it's ready to plant back. We've got a video on that, so you got to check it out. It's how to plant a daylily. And if you got any questions about digging and dividing your daylilies, be sure and reach out to us. We love to talk daylilies. You can put it in the comments below, or all our contact information is on our website.